what we at the Future Law Virtual Summit call a play shop. And you all know that the summit is called Negotiating the New Normal. And Inge and I thought, well, what is that? Let's start with that. So the session you all decided to join is called Exploring the Unknown to Find Answers Together. And why did we lean towards that? Because originally we had this idea of connecting the connectors. Inge, I got to know Inge a few weeks ago, and I'm sure you'll introduce yourself, and I'll give myself a brief introduction. I'm the founder of We the Future. I bring people together to figure out complex challenges and transitions, and I met Inge a few weeks ago, and Inge she hears a story and then she goes, oh, that person, love it, and you could frame it this way, and that's a great story. So she's a storyteller and super connector extraordinaire. And we just thought right away, hey, but the connectors, the people like you and like Inge and myself, we really need to create a forum, or we need to create a community where the connectors can come together, because we have such an important role to play in this negotiating the new normal as well. If this is all about creating communities of practice to bring about big change, then the connectors obviously have a role to play. So that's where we started off from. Inge, do you want to introduce yourself and then and lead us into a little bit of an introduction? Who else is here in the room?
Well, do I need to say anything else after the brilliant framing you've just done for me? Thank you. Yeah, maybe the way we met, which was through LinkedIn initially, is a good example of how connectors, use all kinds of means to just connect. And then we did also have, when the cafes were still open in Amsterdam, we had a drink to further explore this, and also where we are at in terms of our lives and what society is going through, I guess. It's interesting, Karim, because I think when we talked, and also particularly because of the framing of the summit, and as a communications professional by background, I felt, oh, we needed to have this presentation, we needed to have this content, we needed to have this story, we need to say what kind of story architecture and the kind of things that we all need, in addition to whatever you guys have been exploring in terms from the legal lenses. And I think what we found is that indeed connection is a value in itself, and considering where we find ourselves and where we need to get to, or where we might get to, because nobody really knows. One thing is for sure, we need each other. And particularly in today's society, where there's so much polarization going on, where there's plenty of groups who need each other, but they certainly do not need another group or another group. Well, what does it mean for true connectors? So I've come to embrace and appreciate it much more, realizing that what you said is probably true, that I've been doing it all my life, but always felt that it was a kind of a thing on the side rather than a core thing. So let me leave it at that. And shall we do what we just said, Karim, because we felt it was an early morning, and we were expecting not that many people. And if we were to be like the size of the group we are, it'd be nice for people just to do a quick check-in, to say, hey, I'm so-and-so, this is what I'd like you to know about me, or land on the theme that we've been exploring straight away, connection. And then we just do a little round, so we create community kind of between us. And let's do it popcorn style. That's what I've learned through my learning deep democracy. We don't do the kind of round, we just pop when ready. So whoever wants to go, raise your hand and go. Yeah.
Hi guys, for those who don't know, I'm Margaret, one of the founders of Future Law Institute, and hosting this Negotiating the New Normal summit. I popped out of another session to come to this because I think that this session is central to the work we are attempting to do in the world. and how can we get it right? And exploring the unknown to find answers together is the action that we've taken at the Future Law Institute by hosting this summit. Yeah, I'm very interested in how do we connect the connectors, because the theme of negotiating the new normal is about bringing together a new type of collaboration, not one that I think is easily understood or recognized, but it's a cross jurisdiction and it's a cross discipline for legal system change. And so it's a pretty complex task we're trying to address, which we deeply believe needs to be addressed if we have to manage our collective risks, our collective challenges on this one shared planet. So I'm really grateful for Karim and Inge for hosting this particular play shop. And I'm excited to be here and to participate.
Pop when you're hot. Who's next?
I'm happy to go next. Yesterday, I had the opportunity of connecting a group of women that I've been involved with in writing a book about embodied leadership. And that was incredibly powerful and enabled some of the people that I have encountered in my life to hear a bit more of my story and then enable them to share their stories. And so when I saw that the theme for this workshop, I thought, perhaps that will be just the perfect thing for considering how some of those stories can be then shared on a different platform in a different way. And so the connecting the connectors really kind of grabbed my attention because of that too. So, and it's been quite interesting over the course of these days is to interact with people who are storytellers, because I think one of the things about telling stories is that they a person emotionally connects with those stories, and in so doing you can make a lot more major impact. And so I think that this is a really important part of enabling others to understand this what we're trying to negotiate, this new normal.
Thank you.
Please, pop when you're hot.
Hi everyone, my name's Rick. So I'm very glad to be here, be invited by Karim. We met actually at a session that Think was putting on during the lockdown, and it was in a 3-minute breakout session, and we connected after that on LinkedIn, and several conversations later, and here I am. And actually, you know, through the course of the last month, I had the pleasure of introducing Deanne to Margaret through a friend of a friend, and setting that whole ball rolling, which I hadn't really thought about in any major way, shape, or form. And so I guess my form of connecting is something I've been intrinsically doing for quite a long time. And it's normally been through a very subconscious sort of adjacent possible is what I kind of do. And they're very disparate connections, and I kind of hope to bring them together through a what if kind of scenario. So I'm very glad it's worked out here, and yeah, looking forward to the conversation and connecting with you all.
Nice to have you, Rick, and thank you. for
Thank you.
connecting. We had a great session yesterday. Nadia, hi.
Hi, everyone. So pleased and honored to be with you today, because I also find myself in a space where I'm with my people, the connectors or the super connectors, where in fact it's been, as Inge said, something that you think was on the side, and suddenly when people talk of superpowers or of ways to accelerate and advance a vision, could be really powerful if thought of properly. I have been noticing that I've, like, over the past decade almost, put in adding people to my, for instance, LinkedIn, and I had no idea why I was doing that, because I am not very active, or I was not. I knew that one day will come to activate that network, and in the meantime, also thinking and looking into the different connections that I've been putting together or will be putting together as part of a big vision, which is, for me, everyone a change maker world, which fits within the new normal. Because for me personally, I do believe that the peace and harmony that we have within ourselves and with us and our community and the planet is fundamental to the transformation we want to see. And this complex and new type of collaborations and being together is essential. So creating a new story, us connecting together and really accelerating the change we want to see is great. So I'm really happy to be with you here today and looking forward to all the change we can bring together. Thank you.
Thank you. David?
Hi there, everyone. I'm David, in London at the moment. I think I'm a storyteller. I met Inge maybe 10, 12 years ago. I used to tell stories about economics because I trained as an economist. And then I started telling stories about sustainability. The more concerned I became about the state of environmental and social justice. And latterly, I've become obsessed by trying to tell stories that reach the people who don't come to meetings like this, who are just out in the world, getting on with their lives, and who I'm increasingly convinced that if they could find a way of framing their world in a way that would internalize the issues of environmental social justice that motivate me and a lot of people in my network, then they would just start delivering it, making it happen. So I'm fascinated to be in your company this morning, and I'm relishing the unknowns and my own ignorance. So yeah, very glad to be here. Looking forward to the discussion.
Relishing the unknown. I love it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're next. Hop when you're hot is the rule, is the organizing principle. Who wants to share who you are and why you came today? Welcome, Merlijn. You want to give it a go?
Hey there, everybody. Yeah, I'm jumping in confused because I want to be a part of this session, and I feel it's most urgent to really activate the storytelling capacities of all of us, basically. At the same moment, I'm super busy, so I should be at other places as well. But okay, I hit the bottom, so it's great to see you. I'm a composer, and I'm trying to bring creative people together. So I'm fighting the fragmented way the art world is organized today. The fact that everyone is for themselves, isolated, struggling to make a living or to be successful. I'm searching for ways to bring storytellers together, bring this creative power together, and also to see how to activate the artist mindset in everyone. So not to make it an exclusive thing. Good.
Thank you. Thank you. I think I see Alexar. I don't know whether I pronounce your name correctly, but I think you're already unmuted. Maybe that's an indication that you'd like to pop.
Hey, I'm not unmuted. I just didn't join the audio on my desktop. I can actually join and click unmute. Okay, so that's better now. So do you want me to talk, or was it just a question? Yeah. So on what Melin said, this is a hashtag I use, all our artists, just to confirm what you said. I believe art, everyday people think art is something that they have to, you know, just go to a museum once a year, if it happens, to look and admire, whereas it's a thing that everyone can do and we don't even need to show it to other people. It's a personal thing. So on connecting the connector, I love the subject for this. In fact, I have put a lot of thoughts in this. I've noticed that connection making doesn't directly empower you as part of the ecosystem. People who are very good at that, they do that because they love it. And the more you do it, basically, it's very rewarding. And in the long run, it definitely generates basically the way our transactional economy works. If you focus on making connections, you don't go anywhere. Basically, this empowers you, and that's sad. So I have been thinking a lot about how we can bring this, like the art of connection and making very good connections, enable basically people who are genuinely interested in making the good connections. That's my interest in this topic. And also I'm across different fields as well. So I always, when I see potentials, yeah, I definitely make those connections. But I'm here more to hear about what everyone else has to say on this topic. And I'm in Melbourne, Australia, by the way. I just put it on my name too.
Thanks for joining. So it's late at night, I think.
What was that?
It's late at night, I think.
It's, yeah, not too bad. It's 7 p.m.
Who hasn't gone yet? And let's
My precious.
Michael, do you want to share? Or who else? Hester?
Okay, let's see, because we're in the same room, and then the audio will. So can you hear me? Yes, great. Okay. Yes, my background is in theater, and that's where I learned or discovered the power of stories. And I'm so happy that that is part of life. I never voluntarily, I work as a public speaker coach now. I never voluntarily looked into working with people who were in the law or in politics because of the strategic way of, well, communication. But I was really wrong, I discovered these days. So it's been a discovery, and there are so many beautiful stories that I heard. So yes, let's keep sharing them. And what I really found is also the need in discovering our stories is a way to stay connected and focused ourselves within all the hassle and things going on. So I think when we get lost of our own stories, it's time to rediscover them and help us to connect with our own focus, mission, stuff like that.
Thank you.
So how do we tell? Michael, do you want to still go, or do you just want to listen in? Either way is fine. And then, well, I think everybody else is gone. So how do we tell stories of an unknown future? And that was a subtitle we used somewhere in the paragraph. And so we want to explore what it is, the new normal. We want to explore what it is, the unknown, and how do you find answers together. We don't necessarily have a format because we actually have relinquished ourselves to, we don't know either. But we thought it might be handy to at least explore some of the tensions we see in the current times and that have been exposed so blatantly by this pandemic we're in. Some of the tensions between, for example, individual or nationalist needs versus, hey, we're all in this together. Some tensions around urgency versus contemplation or standing still in the moment, action oriented versus slowing down. We thought in those tensions there is a calling for something different, at least something new, and storytellers and connectors have a mission or a task or a challenge to start creating connections beyond the knowing of what is right or what is wrong or where we're going or where we're not. I don't know exactly how to frame that in any different way, but Inge had a little bit of a thought on how we might at least do an exercise first to go ahead to feel where we feel that unknown, that uncertainty. Is that right?
Yeah, totally. And allow me to just build on, because when Karim and I were preparing it, we realized, and maybe I should speak for myself, I realized that I come from, and I kind of heard it in some of your stories too, from a world of we need to fix it. Or when you have been in the art of creating stories, creating narratives, we need to have something to deliver to you. So after the session, you can go and use it. But we realized that's where we wanted to stay away from because we do not know. And to see, can we hold space? Can we step into that area and see what it does to us? So we thought, could we just be still for a minute or so and see where after we've done these introductions, and there is pretty interesting similarities, probably not for nothing because you joined in. There's definitely added value, but shall we just hold a minute or so and see what it does to us? And then come back into the conversation and see, I'm not going to frame it more. Let's just hold still for a minute or so. Let's be invited to be back. And I just wonder whether anyone wants to share what you were either feeling and or thinking, and whether the two were connected. And if you want me to go first, I'm happy to, but I don't necessarily have to go first. But I see you stay muted, so I will. So it was interesting because I could imagine that quite a few of you might meditate on a regular basis. So it's probably not new, or you've been to sessions where you do this, what we've just done. But interestingly, what I felt right now is I straight away felt my throat. And obviously that indicated the sense that I felt I had to speak. And I also felt the body sensation of a pressure, of an expectation that I need to fulfill because of where we find ourselves. And therefore, how important it was to let that be rather than to act to it straight away. And to me, and that might, I hope, doesn't sound too grand, but I think if I observe the world and where things are at, and it was interesting how Hester was talking about not being part of the legal or the political system, but that's exactly where a lot of that happens. It happens in the communications profession as well. You always need to fix, you always need to straight away be there. And isn't it quite amazing if we can hold that space and appreciate that we do not know? I mean, imagine if we could, as super connectors and connectors, do that with other people. And also to say that we do not have all the answers. isn't that a wonderful invitation, first of all, for people to speak and feel that they are listened to, which obviously many people feel that they are not, which is why we find ourselves in the situation we are in. And I think it's something that David said, having progressed throughout his life of wanting to tell stories for those that are not part of sessions like this. So yeah, that's what it did to me. Does anyone recognize that, or did anyone have a complete different sensation? Marion and then Nadia and Rick? Lots, wonderful.
I think this is a really interesting input that you have there. As I was meditating, which I do actually do on a daily basis, because I find that quieting the mind is very helpful, and it also enables me to bring the different parts of me together more easily too. It is really interesting for me as what I've been realizing through this time and how we are in this completely uncertain, unknown place at the moment. It's incredibly exciting as well. And those different strands, I was given a nickname of web weaver a long time ago, and I really didn't understand why I had been given that name. And I think I'm now beginning to understand, because some of the things that have happened across the course of my life have been working with people in very deprived conditions in the evolving countries as well. And they tell stories. That's the way the history is told. And they also dream their dreams of the future as well. And I'm beginning to realize that that's what we're doing. We need to be dreaming our future, but dreaming that future in our awakeness. And that's what your meditation did for me this morning.
Wow, beautiful, thank you. Nadia, do you want to go next?
It's hard to follow Marion's lead, but I'll tell you at least what I felt and thought. So I did have in my body, so body sensations, it was a bit of angst, but also a kind of pressure because of the unknown part, but also for all the things we have to accomplish to see the world or to prepare the world for it, what it has to be. But at the same time, I was invaded. I was just like, it's like a flash or a rush of beautiful energy, of like expanding really energy that also reflects what the world is going to be, the regenerative part of it. And I also, of course, had the vision, which I can't stop myself from having, of everyone in the world being equipped to do their thing, have the skills to bring about change at their level and collaboratively and at a common level. So then, and then it's beautiful. And so that was what I felt and thought about, which is what we are all doing, whether it's through the arts or through influencing policies and policymakers and working with them and bringing things that work already, because how we get it right is also to find what works and scale it up. Not by ourselves, but collaborative, bringing all these people together. So I've seen all of that and it felt really great. So there was a bit of tension between the, you know, it's like there is this impatience to take action, but at the same time, holding it and really staying in that stillness to see what can materialize and how we can make that happen. So.
Beautiful, thank you. Rick, did you want to go next?
Hi, yeah, I think, I mean, it was wonderful to have that moment to think back. I've got my 5-year-old who's popping up. I think the whole of the lockdown has been a construct of ebbs and flows, and breathing in and breathing out is the best way I can describe it, of huge euphoria at what might be coming to pass, and huge panic at it maybe not being realized, or everyone thinking that normal is here to stay. So all the way through that, I have realized that I've been seeking out conversation and connection, and it's been very broad, very random. There have been some fantastic storytellers that have given me huge amounts of hope, from like way back in sort of April, Ari Kushnir's series called Together, which was really doing this. It was sense making. What does this pandemic mean for you? Was the opening question for the first episode. I think there were 5 or 6 episodes, and the broad expanse of what this meant to the various different people Ari knew was extraordinary, and really uplifting, because there were a lot of people who were taking that giant leap into a very different normal, a very huge what if kind of moment, and from very different pieces and places across the planet, lots of different interests, lots of different backgrounds, and that was very empowering, actually, just to have come across that, to have shared that content with other people, to sort of come across like-minded souls, was fantastic. And then the ebb of that in sort of how we're forming it into something that's tangible that we can take forward. You realize that there's a certain amount of time where stuff needs to distill before it then naturally progresses. Those are all the things that were resonating for me from the brief meditation, was that sort of reminder of where I've been since March time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Now, is there anyone who has a burning remark that they really want to make?
Well, Alexar put something on the chat, which probably was stimulated by the conversation that just took place. And he put, how do we find common unifying narratives for an unknown, uncertain future? And I copied from the description, you say, but I'm sure you put it in there for a reason. So would you like to expand?
I don't know if I can. I saw it on WhatsApp group, and I thought I'd put it for the benefit of others who haven't seen it. Yeah, I think I can make it up right now. I put a spotlight on me. Also, I'd like to welcome Richard as well, who just joined us. We haven't really started it, so you're not behind.
Thanks, Alexa. Thanks for doing that. Hi, Richard. Welcome.
And David, you raised your hand.
Yeah, I don't know how burning this is, but I think I'm uncomfortable with the idea of common unifying narratives. And it does connect to what happened in my minute of silence, because I dived into the word ambiguity. That seemed to be happening to me just at the start of the moment of silence. That I think a lot of people want certainty from their stories. They want answers, or they want a beginning and a middle and an end. And what we're talking about here is unknowns, and Rumsfeldian unknown unknowns. And so I think there's something I'm grappling with, or I don't understand, about how do people, we ourselves, or we help others, hold a place of perfect ambiguity where there are no answers, where the unknowing of things is the experience. I think a lot of people find that very frightening, and there may be many different ways of doing that, many different narratives that achieve that end, and therefore I'm not sure a common unifying narrative is maybe what we should be looking for.
Marilyn wants to talk.
Can I jump in here? I see playfulness as an important part of telling stories. And if you have a game or a play, then you have certain rules that are very strict that give you the freedom to play inside them. So it's lovely that a soccer game has like certain lines, and inside the line you can play the game, and outside it stops. So I feel also a story gives some very clear things to hold on. So, and this type of frame gives you space inside to be free. And that is what I believe is essential. And what I really think is very powerful is to find, for example, a local dimension. If you want to dream about uncertainty and about the future, if you come at a certain place together with people and you see these people and you experience the place, that is, for example, like a common ground. And it can also happen on other reasons. People can come like we online at a certain time, a certain reason. Then we have also like kind of a frame inside. And if these frames are not clear, if those get blurry or fluid, then people will maybe not play. They don't feel the freedom to really, yeah, it's a matter also kind of a safety or something that direction. So I like the playful thing.
Fascinating, and it's sparking so much. So I see, I think it was Marion first, and then Alexa, and then Hester. And it's interesting though. We're progressing to a kind of round table conversation, building on each other, exploring around this topic, this topic that we showed up for at least. And I'm going to give you three the floor, and then we're going to go to a place, I hope, where we're actually only all that remains for us is a question mark. So now you're speaking from, I think, from your own experience and bringing in a perspective and another perspective. And that's all from maybe from everything you've experienced up till now. And now we're moving into a new normal that we don't know what it is. And I'd like to get to that question mark after your remarks. But I want to acknowledge Richard. Richard is one of our speakers. So great that you could join us. Say hi.
Thanks. Yeah,
well,
sorry, I feel like I'm slightly lurking here because I haven't been able to follow the summit over the weekend, and I've got this speaking slot tomorrow, and I thought I would try to check it out this morning, what the general vibe of things was to get a feel for the situation, and I pressed on the agenda and I ended up here. So that's about all I know of where I am. I just sort of have appeared in this conversation. In many ways, just trying to get my bearings. I'm not sure I have got my bearings yet. I've got to admit, I've been kind of enjoying the general ambience of the conversation, but whether I know where I am or not is another question. But I'm working on it.
And I don't think this is the best place to get your bearings, but we'll find that out together if you're willing to entertain us for a while.
But Karim, at least the website worked. He clicked on the agenda and he got in here.
If this is where I was supposed to be, then it worked.
Right.
Yeah, no such thing as coincidence. You were meant to show up here. Welcome.
Likewise. Richard is a lifelong activist for reducing arms in the world, and has done some amazing work. Check his talk out tomorrow. Just to plug that. But welcome here, Marion. Sorry, it's a while ago, but you had something to add.
Yes, well, it was following on from that ambiguity. I really feel that that's a good place to be. And I remember when I was doing my PhD, which was quite a long time ago, that there were always dichotomies. It's black or it's white, or it's pro this or anti that. And what I started to realize that a much better way of looking at things was if you thought of things as a crystal instead with many facets, and each person has a different perspective, which is like the different faces of the crystal. And in that way, you can play with ambiguity, and also because if you imagine people from lots of different cultures, they have completely different worldviews, and being able to see things more as a a crystal which enables light to be shown within the darkness, I think is a really very much more harmonious way of considering things. But that was what came up from the discussions that we were having. So that this either or being an insider or an outsider, or from this community or from that community, then doesn't really matter, because we can then begin to start to understand that we are all interconnected and that we have a common humanity. Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Did you wanted to go next, right?
We had Hester in line. Where is Hester?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Hester, you're in line. You're next in line.
Okay, so I hope we're not going to go. Yeah. I wanted to react or add on what Marlijn was saying on playfulness. And he talked about this square, right, where you have the room to explore and stuff. And I was thinking maybe we even have more freedom when we think about, you know, what it actually means to play. And I have a 3-year-old, and what happens when she plays with the neighbor kids is, you know, they're in this stage where they build these towers with blocks and stuff, and then when they fall, they laugh, or they even throw them and they laugh. So they really don't measure the tower as something more important than, you know, than the building and the throwing. So I'm always looking in how can we allow ourselves to really enjoy the unknown, experiencing the unknown, really enjoy it. And maybe we have to force ourselves or remind ourselves to do so, because I believe it's in our nature somewhere. So just let go all the crap, you know, in that particular stage.
Thank you. Thank you. Alexa, did you want to go?
Yeah, I can relate to everything that was mentioned. I start with what David said. It was a very subtle point, but I'm glad David noted that. So the question is framed more as we always try to do, with an outcome in mind. How do we find, whereas this is a very subtle thing. For me, connections is more about, it's a mechanism. And what I've noticed, I'm in tech myself, like in IT, let's say, specifically. And what I've noticed might come across as a surprise to you. Personally, I've observed the past 10, 20 years, our connections are basically because of IT. First, I thought it's despite IT, but now I can see that it's because of IT. Our connections have become much more shallow. It's a bit strange. Even like when someone wants to learn programming, for example, right? 20 years ago, if you wanted to do that, you would have a much richer experience. You would find a book and you would go to a library and there were a few people and you would talk to them. So there's something about connections that two humans have. It's so rich, and that kind of, because of the tools, we've kind of lost those things. These are my observations, by the way. For me, connections and what this session is called, Connecting the Connectors, is more about enabling those that mechanism to be more to be playing out more. So regardless of, because we all have those mechanisms, you know, the body language, the understanding, the social dynamics, we all have it in us. For me, this is more about putting more emphasis on that. When it comes to networks, I see normally there's tendency to create a new website or a forum and membership and all that. And that's where I'm seeing that sometimes just like a random phone call that people have gives them much more insight and knowledge. So this is, for me, it's more about, I don't know if I'm making sense. Instead of, I think a few people mentioned this in a different way. This is more about, again, like a journey, and like what Hester was saying. It's not necessarily to get an outcome when it comes to connections. It's more about acknowledging the fact that we are connecting and making sure that we have the best out of that connection. There was a good session yesterday, the conversations. And there was something that I think Marion mentioned, or Inge, I don't remember, about giving a space. It was more about empathy and compassion and understanding that people have different perspectives, different personalities, and things like that make great misunderstanding. So if in connections that we make, we give more room for that and be more receptive, I think that would lead us to enjoy the ride. And ultimately, I think that would lead to a good outcome anyways. Yeah. So I just stop there.
Beautiful. If I hear some of that, Karim and everyone, it's there's a connection between the playfulness and the crystal. And when Hester was talking about looking at her child and then enjoying the falling of the tower, etc. And it reminds me indeed of that Dutch historian, Johan Huizinga, who wrote a book on the playful human being, Homo Ludens, and he describes the magic circle. And I was thinking, gosh, isn't that where we try to dive into, that magic circle, which is like that crystal? Because the magic circle, by definition, is not a circle that one just draws. You can't step in or out. It's like that crystal. And I'm thinking, gosh, there's something that I hear emerge here, and it's that magic circle, whatever it will be. Because I'm with you, Alexara, that language is such an interesting thing. We might close the conversation, even if the intention is to open it up by just using some of the words, particularly if we speak not in our native languages, but in second or third languages, then that plays a role as well. So, but I think it's interesting. There's commonalities there. And I love that magic circle idea.
Can I quickly share something? So I wanted to to share this little experience that I had with Karim, who's next to me, because I know him because he's going to be my neighbor. We're like building a house, but the first day I met him was because we came together with a group of people that might be interested in building a house, which I actually wasn't, but I don't know, I got drawn to it. I got there, and he did this yeah, what was it, like yes, he did a visualization with us on living and on a house and what that should be. And I don't know, I transferred into all these, I don't know, alternate states, and there was lots of things happened. So it really got to me, because in that moment I was exploring this unknown future that I didn't even know that I wanted. But what came out was that I found that I really wanted a house where people felt the freedom to play. So now I'm building a house called Homo Ludens. So it's really funny. I just wanted to share that. So what do I want to say with that? Sometimes, you know, this playfulness or this unknown where you really let go can bring you something that is unknown to you as well. So you don't have to work hard. It just comes to you. Yeah, well, something like that. And I'm really sorry because I have to leave because I have to help on another stage. I really would love to stay, but I'm sorry, I have to go. I will watch the recording.
The only thing you need to promise us is that once you've got that house, you need to invite all of us to come and see it.
What I want
Indeed,
to do next,
and I need to do the same. So
really
I will say the bye to you.
The magical circle yet. I'm really curious about this crystal, so I thought we might go there. I thought we might actually do a visualization together. So thank you for teeing that up, Hester. And I've had the honor of learning a technique in the past called Big Mind, Big Heart. And some of you may know it. It was designed by Dennis Mertzel, formerly Genpo Roshi, a Zen master. And it allows you to go to a space in your mind and speak from a voice, speak from that voice basically. And so you can adopt that voice quite quickly, and we're, you know, as human beings, you all know we're really flexible, so we're very adaptable. We can do this. And I don't think I'm going to explain much more than that, but what I'm going to invite you to do in a moment is take on the voice of Homo Ludens, the playing person, or the playful person. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to say, may I speak to Homo Ludens? And you say, and then I say, you are, and you go, I am Homo Ludens. And from that, I'll take us into a visualization and see if we can bring together some of these topics, these things we've explored in that visualization, in connection, do some individual reflection, and we'll see what pops out of that. Is that okay? So, may I speak to Homo Ludens? You are, and you all said that on mute. So now we are Homo Ludens. And it might help to close our eyes, but you're free to do whatever you want and just feel from this place of Homo Ludens. Sense what sensations you feel in your body. Be aware and listen to any thoughts you might have about this exercise. Maybe you hear the skeptic chiming in. It's like, what are we doing now? Or something like that. Some voice in your head, a critic, could be. But right now, we are Homo Ludens, the playful person. It's good to keep on tuning into any bodily sensations, especially. Hester referred to her 3-year-old earlier. We've all been children. See if you can tune into the playfulness of the child in your body. See where you feel that. Now see if you can listen for what your mind wants you to do in this moment. And become aware that that might be another voice than Homo Ludens. Or you might have from this voice an urge to do something. This is all just about becoming more aware of this space that we're in together. Do you need to fix anything from this space? Is this a space where there's fear, anxiety, worry about the future. Do you feel a desire to fix anything? Or can we tune into maybe your other desires in this moment? What do you as Homo ludens desire? What are your needs? What about the need to know? The need to know where we're going or what's happening next. Does the rest of you have that? Has the rest of you experienced a lot of tension in the last 6 months or 6 years for that matter around needing to know? How about from this space? Is there a need to know? If anything, what if you would, from here, start to explore with me as a Homo ludens, together here with each other, what it means to be in a world of uncertainty and ambiguity, not knowing. What does that do to you? What do you feel? What is the sensations that go with that? We don't know. This might be a good moment to tune into our heart area, if you're not doing so already. Might help to breathe into your heart area. How does it feel to be right here, right now? What is your heart saying right here, right now. What story would your heart tell when it comes to exploring this unknown future, exploring this new normal together? See if you can listen for that story. I'll be quiet for a couple minutes. As your host, Karim, did not know where to take you on this journey, from this space of Homo Ludens, this voice of Homo Ludens. I'm in any case enjoying it. I'm feeling a lot. And I'm wondering what you're feeling. So as Homo Ludens, we'll slowly wiggle our toes and our fingers, loosen up our body, bring our body back as we stay in this state. You don't have to alter any other state than waking up your body. And when you're ready, I'd love you to come into the circle with the same energy as you were experiencing just a moment before this. You can slowly open your eyes. Speaking still from Homo Ludens, what does Homo Ludens have to share in this moment? Try to speak from the voice, and if it helps, you say, I am Homo Ludens, and what I experienced was, or what I am feeling is, or the story I want to share is. Please, go ahead.
Good, yes, I am Homo Ludens, and I was really wondering who is playing with me, because it's exciting, of course, to have a few people all around the world to share this moment, but who can I bring with me in this playful mindset, also in a sustainable way, you know, the really people close to me or in my proximity. How can I create this type of more collective, how can I make this infectious to the people And people right around me are fine, but I'm more thinking of the people just, yeah, one layer ahead. How can I introduce them in this mindset? Okay.
Margaret, you had your hand up.
I am Homo ludens, and what I felt while doing that was to dance and to, yeah, dance with my body. That's what I was feeling to do. And I have to jump off to go to another call, but I did want to reflect a little bit on my experience in the play shop so far. And in the meditation early on, I felt this initially, you know, dealing with disappointment and expectation, kind of like what Inge was sharing, and the pressure to speak, which I chose not to give in to. But as I sat with that, as I had felt this morning and last night, and throughout the summit, I just connected with this deep feeling of gratitude for the incredible connections that we were able to make in order to host this summit, and the over now 120 speakers who are, you know, incredible experts from all over the world, who both Anya and I and Karim did the hard work of getting on a call and making that connection over a call. Those conversations were sometimes more than an hour long, sometimes two, depending on who the person was. And I just have gratitude for that this is the new normal. It is about how do we foster these types of connections and sustain them, because there are people around the world who share this vision, who share this understanding that we have to find new ways of coming together. And that's what we have, who we have identified, the people who understand that we have to find new ways of coming together and coming out of our silos, the silos of our professions, the silos of our jurisdictions, and connect across borders to address the challenges that we have across borders and across disciplines. It's a very difficult story to tell. And that's why we were able, I guess, to tell it one-on-one with each of the speakers that we brought on board. I am excited about being connected, particularly with those in this group who are storytellers and who are connectors and powerful super connectors, who I hope can join with us and help us to be able to communicate this story to others, because it's a difficult story. Though, I mean, we, in the story as we told it, Karim, out into the world, we have over 1,600 registrants. So, and up to today, someone bought a ticket. So, I mean, it's still happening, but in terms of attendance, you know, it's been a disappointment because of our tech and because of those things. And so, yeah, I just want to thank all of you for being here. I feel incredibly grateful for the commitment to this challenging work of exploring the unknown. And I love the theme of this play shop, because that's exactly what we are trying to do in Future Law. And I feel that we, and for me personally, I've always been comfortable with exploring the unknown and taking steps into places where people are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, yeah, but let's come together and figure this out. One of our keynotes on Monday said, action is the search. Action is the search. And Robert Unger, another speaker, said, action brings hope. It's not the other way around. He says hope is the result of action. And so I am feeling hope that we have 129 speakers of a very high level, some of the top experts in their field who see this vision and understand this vision and want to be a part and contribute. So I have to go to another play shop because I'm getting the messages that no one is there. So I have to go and support these other QC and his and be there. And I would invite you to come to that play shop after this one if you have the time. It's about future skills for professionals. So let me leave the link in here. Sorry. But thank you, Karim and Inge, for doing this.
I can do the link. You go ahead. I can
Okay, thank you. I got the link though. Thank you. Bye. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Still from the voice of Homo Ludens, I think that's where we landed. So that's where we did the visualization. I'm curious who would like to share from that voice. And it often helps to repeat the sentence, I'm Homo Ludens. And yeah, whatever.
I am Homo Ludens. I felt very sad in the middle that we weren't going to be able to play anymore. That I almost felt as though humanity, have been very lucky for quite a while. Not everybody, obviously there's enormous numbers of people whose lives are not as playful as, you know, a bunch of privileged white folk in the West. But I do have an awful sense of, particularly from a climate change point of view and an environmental harms point of view, that it's going to get worse and that our ability to play will be taken away from us, or we will lose it. But that was really very much in the middle. Either side of that, I as Homo Ludens just felt thrilled that that we can play. And it doesn't matter if the rocks fall down or and that is how we find out who we really are. And so we have to, in that image from Hester earlier of her children, I've got two sons, they're a bit bigger than that now, but still some of our best moments, and they're in their 20s, are when we suddenly start playing, when none of us know what the rules are. And this comes back to Merlin's box earlier. I think there's something rather remarkable about when you really play, the playing and the making of the rules that shape the playing happen simultaneously. And that's where I was in the final minute or two of your exercise, which was wonderful. Just that, wow, we can, both the rules and the game are co-evolving or something. I wasn't using language, but it just felt wonderful. And I came back into the room feeling really, having left the sadness behind, feeling, yeah, exactly, really, wow. So I thought it was amazing. Thank you.
Okay, I'm not going to facilitate anymore. Other hat. Oh my gosh, I really felt that I felt the tingling sensation over my whole body. Yes, make the game and the rules. I remember that. That was amazing, right? As we go along, no, that doesn't work. No, that's not how it works. That's not the rule. I love that. That's brilliant. Please, anybody else?
Wow, where can I start? So it was really extremely important for me because my shadow is the playful girl, which I'm not, but therefore it's my shadow. That's the part I have put aside all my life. But when we were at the School of Creative Leadership, I think we did in fact an exercise on this, and imagining what it's like to be playful. So it's something that took me and in part of the parts of my body where I felt it. And there were times in my childhood, of course, where I experienced these things, but it's really, really far away. And it went to my gut and my heart, mostly in my gut space, the intuition part, and the lightness of my body, my legs, which brought me kind of really connected with the dancing part of Margaret, because that's what I did all my time alone. But it was very creative. And all these things, and then the other insight that I got is that life was never certain, at least for me. So ambiguity and uncertainty has always been the illusion of certainty, I think, is just, so what is new is how do we live going forward? How do we choose to live in this ambiguity and in this uncertainty? How do we come together? And playfulness would be fantastic, because what it brings is creativity, freedom, the best out of you, all of you connected, no judgment. And if it fails, laugh it out. Let's try something else. So I really see a world of where we go freely, together, experimenting, trying, making something, building, and so on, rather than being afraid, worried about whether it's going to work or not. And so I come of it really energized and hopeful, and feeling like, yeah, I can be totally aligned in going forward and being with all these people. So thank you. It was really great.
Wonderful to hear. We have a few more minutes left in our session, so I want to give anyone who hasn't spoken yet the chance to do so, if you'd like to. And then I know Inge has done deep democracy, so she knows how to summarize a conversation, even an hour and a half of conversation. Didn't know that was coming, did you? No, we can maybe even co-create it at the end. But Alexa or Rick, or let me see, even I think Leslie's in the back here. You might have a takeaway. Maybe someone wants to still share, and otherwise we'll go to the closing. Rick, you're popping up. You must.
Yeah, that was wonderful. I really appreciated it, the experience. I've not had that before, but it really brought home the sense of play that I bring to the everyday, and the delight in creating a little bit of anarchy, actually, in just, asking of those incumbents of the normal sort of, why are you doing things like you're doing them? It's actually, if you play it back, this sounds insane. If I play back what you're actually doing to yourself, why don't you try and do something different? And to actually have that platform, I feel very, very lucky to be able to do that. So, I was berating Nike on Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Exactly this. They were asking, what should we be doing over the next 5 years? It's like, what should you be doing over the next 6 months? 5 years, you're kind of looking for North Stars, and you don't have any stepping stones to how to actually get there. It's all blah blah blah. So get real and roll up your sleeves. It's already changed, and that's a delightful. For me, that's play, and having the opportunity to do that, I think is really valuable. I think the thing that I've learned most over lockdown is where I choose to play, and that came home in the meditation, and that's part of why I'm here, is to not seek out the obvious questions, but to actually look for the harder to uncover questions and problems to solve. So that was what came to me in that meditation. So thank you.
Milan, you unmuted.
Well,
we're over time, so we're going to have to keep it really short.
Yes.
No, the stage is not needed. I'm also aware that some people have counted on to 11:15. So we can stay here a few minutes longer. We can stay here much longer. I have to go at around 11:45 at the latest. The stage is not, I'm checking that with the technician. I think it's Leslie. I think it's Leslie, right? Did I hear Leslie way back at the beginning?
Yes, it is.
Do we have to get off here, or are we okay to go on a little bit longer?
And let me check the schedule really, really quickly. Give me a sec.
Well, let me use this a short moment. I can't wait till the session tomorrow morning. That's really building on this. I gave it the name Navigating Uncertainty, and we will make it super practical. So this, for me, was really exploring and really open, and I hope to provide you and the others with something very practical to start doing. I show you like a small toolbox of how to make uncertainty, let's say, very practical, and how to deal with it and how to share that also with the people around you. So that's tomorrow morning at 8:45 Central European time, I believe. I hope to see you there. Yeah.
Great plug. Awesome plug. Very good. Yeah, 8:45 tomorrow morning Central European time. That's 7:45 for you, David. I'm sure we'll see you there. Alexa, I know you didn't share after that. Do you want to still share?
Yeah, sure. No, I've been really enjoying listening. A few years ago, I gave a talk. The title was, if you want to win life, play it like a game. It's like a little pun there, but it kind of reminds you, if you want to win life, you have to play it like a game, because that's how you win. If it's not a game, you can't win. It's really good reminder. Playing for life sometimes is used as an analogy or metaphor, but it actually is a game. And once you start looking at it like that, it's very empowering, I would say, especially if you go a bit meta and recognize that not only you can, first you realize that if you don't think about these things, you're already in a game, but someone else's game, and you are playing without even knowing you're playing, and definitely you lose in those games. Once you realize, at least you can be a better player, but then you realize that you have also the choice of defining your own game and creating your own game and inviting your own players. And all these things are things that you have actually choice. And that's very, very powerful. And I really like to see if these concepts are taught to kids, that what you're doing is basically gonna still stay with you for the rest of your life. So you are playing, and yeah, it's a very empowering way of looking at it. It's not really told to us at any point in our life. We have to figure that out ourselves, which is a shame.
Thank you, Merlijn. Thank you, Alexa. Merlijn has to go. He's saying we have about 10-15 minutes if we want to play with remaining. What still needs to be said?
Well, you put it to me, Karim, because I think it'd be a little bit sad if it goes like the next one goes. So we might as well, come together and say this was it. So I didn't share because I wanted to listen, but I just feel the homo ludens, I am homo ludens, who had a headache first. And I think that was because of the pressure that I felt of having to still summarize, create actions, answer question, what's next? So how we're going to move forward. I'm glad that Merlijn therefore did the plug, so that's it. And then I felt love, because if the real homo ludens in me is there and is out there, and I felt a field and I was playing, dancing, but it was love. I felt love. And I thought, wow, isn't that quite amazing? That's it. And So now I'm Inge, who hopes to continue to embrace her homo ludens. And I think in deep democracy, actually, I was taught to not summarize on people's behalves, because what you take away is what you take away. And I think we are in this kind of group. Obviously, what deep democracy does as well is it tries to put up beyond the subconscious and brings it to the conscious level of what might not have been said. But I think we've been down that path here. So I think I've come to appreciate that it was beautiful to hold silence, the fact that we can do this online, that yes, we do know that it's wonderful if we can find ourselves in rooms again and feel each other's bodies close to one another, which is different in virtual means, but we can do it and we feel it again. I've also learned in my practice of constellations then that when I have certain body sensations, apparently others have that too. So you actually feel what others feel too, and vice versa. So that's quite a powerful thing, which I think is probably at its place here. So I think, Karim, I hope that we've been able to do something which gives energy to the rest of the summit, actually.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I haven't shared yet, and maybe I'll do that in closing, and then as a closing, we can do one sentence takeaway. What has shifted? What's how are you going to navigate the coming unknowns and explore that, find answers with others possibly. The first moment of stillness, way at the beginning of the play shop, if you remember, Margaret shared something along the same lines. I felt pressure on the chest, felt my heart really acting up and saying a lot, but I also felt the front of my head saying, we need to fix, it needs to change, we have to act. And I felt my jaw clenched. And then when I realized the thought, the defining thought was, we need to fix this, I kind of let go of that, and then it all lightened up here. That was one experience that I had at the beginning. And then when we did the visualization, I just really, when we went from kind of not knowing, or I just don't know, and being okay with that, my heart really opened up, and I felt a lot of love, and I felt like what my heart wanted to say is, I love you all. And that's interesting, and just the notion of where I went in this short time from, we need to fix this, the world's, it's all fucked up, we need to fix it, to I don't know, and I want to do this together, and I love you all. So that's where I'm leaving from here. I'm gonna do a couple shameless plugs while I still have the word, and then you all can talk. At 12:30 Central European time, we're doing what we call the collaborative journey. If you have not received the agenda, put your email in for today. Put your email in the chat, and we'll send you the agenda. It's the collaborative journey. What we're doing is some open space around the big issues. So everything from data surveillance and privacy to racial justice to climate change to the COVID response, and all the issues in between. Space law, I keep saying it, space, the final frontier. There's some sessions on space, the final frontier today, actually. But that's at 12:30, that's an hour-and-a-half session. And then at 4:30, there's another collaborative journey where we're envisioning a better future together. And I think if you have time, all of you belong there, because if we can bring homo ludens to that and this magical circle to that session, I'm sure we'll see some beautiful pictures of the future, and that's and we're here today and tomorrow And we've had a lot of fun, and we're gonna have and a lot of learning, a lot of insight, and a lot of connection. So I'm very, very grateful for that, like Margaret said. Shall we check out? Whoever wants to pop, you know how it works now. I'd say 1 or 2 sentences. What are you taking away from this? What has shifted for you? Where are you bringing, maybe where are you bringing home alludance to what environment, to what people, or anything else that pops up, takeaways, and preferably, how are you connecting to others with something you got from this session?
I've been powerfully reminded how important play is. And I've realized through the course of this terrific session that I've drifted away from really allowing it room in my both personal and professional life. And I have a pretty big meeting on Wednesday afternoon with some people from the worlds of climate change and health at global level who are trying to collaborate in the run-up to COP26. And I can just feel myself, I'm going to start popping at them and demanding some play, which will give energy and will find, you know, new ways of doing things. So I feel great. Thank you very much to all of you.
I go next. First, really grateful to be with you today, because I actually discovered that there are other people like me. So it's like one of those moments where like, what? Does this kind of people, you know, so it's a typology of some sort. And so really happy to be with you here. And the other thing is I definitely live with super high energy and an immense amount of playfulness that I'd like to bring to my next steps. So I think that it will lead to a lot more action, but with no pre-planned, everything has to be perfect type of thing. We'll just make it up and take it forward together. So a lot of togetherness and love. Thank you.
Hi everyone. For me, thank you. This has been really energizing, and it has reminded me that play is light-footed and is worn with a smile. And I think I was feeling quite stodgy before this, so there's a lightness in my step at the moment. So thank you.
It's great to hear, Rick. Thanks. Hi, Netch. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but welcome. We're just finishing off here in a play shop around play apparently, and exploring the unknown to find answers together. Last few minutes of this, yeah, join right in. Who's next?
I think I'd like to go actually. It's been interesting, Karim, in preparing this. And I think it was not for nothing that you, Margaret, and I, there was tension for us around the head, around the heart, and of course it's having to fix the expectations, the living up to, but also feeling a sense of responsibility, I think. So what this session has done to me is a huge appreciation for the fact that you can step forward into that space, and it's not something theoretical. One can actually practice it together. And go, isn't it wonderful to be on the journey, to be on that path and see what comes up together, particularly when there's different people from different backgrounds, different upbringing, different functionalities, disciplines, etc. And you'll get there. And indeed the role of play. So huge sense of gratitude and affirmation of an open agenda. So the organic approach. Beautiful.
Anybody want to go, or are we at the end? I think Alexa, you wanna do you wanna check out, or did
Yeah, sorry, I forgot to mute the desktop one. All right. Just for maybe next time you're gonna do this, I had an observation as a third person. If you like, I can share it with you. So firstly, this was the term I heard the first time. I didn't know what you're doing actually, so I was totally out of it. I came along, but it can help if you explain the game so people can actually play. And secondly, I don't even notice that recording's happening because I live on Zoom, you know, like I'm guessing most of you these days. However, that may impact participation if you're doing this game with other people, especially more introvert, if they notice it's being recorded. And I think when I'm looking at the Wikipedia, it's also against the principles of the play itself. It should be something you do and you break out and you forget about it. This was my observation as a third person but this was an interesting experiment, so I may do that with other people. That was my takeaway.
Thank you, Alexa. I've decided to do it more often. I'm going to play with this kind of stuff. I just decided I'm going to do a couple of sessions a week from now on, and just throw it out on LinkedIn, and whoever shows up is the right people. So that's what I'm taking away. I'm going to play with this stuff more. So thank you so much, all of you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for bringing your curious, explorative mind to this, and thank you for helping me make discoveries and the discoveries you've made. And thank you, Inge, for doing this with me, jumping aboard and doing this together. And I hope we can do more of this. It was really an honor. And like I said, I hope to see you throughout the summit and more after this. Thank you very much, all of you. Gentle reminder right now, if you want to know the program, right now, Marion's in the middle of her play shop on embodied leadership. There is future skills for professionals going on right now. And there's at 11:30, right, just started a presentation on, wow, international disaster management law and global cooperation as tools to enhance international solidarity. So that's what's going on right now. If you need the agenda, stick around. If you need the links, stick around, and I'll pop to anything, pop them in the chat, and I'll give it to you. Thanks very much. That's a wrap.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Nadia. Thanks, Alexa. You've been awesome.
No, thank you. So I didn't know how the game works, and even at the end, yeah. So when you put it on me, I had to say I am Homo ludus, but I didn't realize that's what you did.
I'm gonna go run to the washroom. Have a great day. We'll see you at other sessions.